my collection of the movie stated to be the horror movie to end them all, which is I think is true to this day. Um, just gonna show you some things that I have collected over the years and the film that I have that I'd like to share with you, which is the classic original, as many fans have come to know it as the original Texas Chain Saw Massacre, the 1974 version by Tobe Hooper. And years ago, I did some checking research on the film at libraries, and I went through microtape and actually found this article that was quoting from the Village Voice back in '76, where it lists this says this interesting paragraph on the film where it says, "Chainsaw captures the syntax and structure of a nightmare with astonishing fidelity. The quality of the images, the texture of the sound, the illogic by which one incident follows another, all conform to the way we dream. No one has done that before, and at least not in a commercial mass market movie." And it goes on to say, "There have been nightmare films, but even in these films, the filmmakers seem unable or unwilling to cross an unacceptable perimeter of terror. This may have less to do with studio censorship than with inborn psychic defense mechanisms. When a real nightmare becomes unbearable, we wake up. What Chainsaw interesting is that since we are watching it with our eyes open, it's a nightmare in which we can't wake up." That's a very good small analyzation of the film. And this is more information on the photocopies of the article that I did research at the library, and it's it's a well detailed article that goes through how the film was made, what films films it was competing against at that time. Horror films, I mean, I guess there weren't many at that time, so I guess after Psycho, which was years before this came out, and it was just talking about its style, how the film just slowly builds up tension and suspense, kind of keeps the audience always on edge without actually seeing the villain or actual violence in the film until actually the end, should kind of builds up without even seeing who the villain is or the monster. Another film that comes to mind is Steven Spielberg's Jaws, where throughout the entire film we don't even see the shark until the very end, which is also a powerful way of directing the viewer and always keeping them in just guessing until the end of the film. Also, what I think is interesting about the film is that it's like a social commentary at the time, where there was the end of the Vietnam War. It was the economy was pretty bad in the U.S. There was stagnation, so I guess it just kind of commentates on culture at the time, with jobs, post-industrial society, where families and households were unemployed, and it kind of mocks that time, with where the film focuses on this entire family that are out of work and basically become killer maniacs. I mean, they basically thrive on killing people who visit their ranch, and it's just a horrifying idea to think about how an entire family can go be without work and just become serial killers. That's just another point of the film where it's has a lot of commentary on fear and what was going at that time mentally and subconsciously. Oh, so this is just another paragraph where It's just another way of actually seeing the film. It says there's no denying the cultural impact the original had. The ripple effect that is an unlikely success made on the horror genre. This was a movie that particularly laid down the conventions of the slasher film, paving the way for movies like Friday the 13th and Halloween. This was the movie that introduced the indelible image of a saw-wielding psycho Leatherface, horror moviedom's first anti-hero. This sleepy, heartless, emotionally originally void remake, unlikely to any similar impact coming off. Well, it's just talking about how the new Texas Chainsaw is unlike the original. I mean, it's too glossy, too polished, thematic tension of the original film, relying so much on traditional genre signposts, rain, night, creepy, dilapidated houses, that it's rendered inert and predictable. That's very true. I mean, I myself haven't really followed the new remakes. I just saw the 2003, but it's for the time it's a lot more updated, and it's a film that would really draw in the new generation. But my love for the original is always gonna stay where it is. I mean, I don't think any film could really top the original. And also, just to keep in mind, the films was able to keep its realistic look is by how the way the film was filmed, which was in 16mm originally, and that's the way it's grainy, and also cinema verite look and feel was actually put on film. I mean, it was actually pretty brilliant to really just have it filmed on 16mm camera. And I believe just the true way of seeing the film was on actual film, and that's why I actually bought myself a print of the film to actually have its feel, to actually experience the way it was actually meant to be seen. I mean, Blu-ray and also those DVD high resolution transfers did help in other ways, where it actually did focus on more detail, but I think it kind of loses its realistic tone. I mean, everybody has their likes and dislikes of and then also another film that was also filmed on 16mm is George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, which also captures that realistic news documentary style feel and realism also. I mean, these directors were pretty much influenced, I guess, by national news at the time, how news was seen on TV, which is a very guerrilla style, I guess, very independent compared to news now on TV, where it's very edited. And this is, of course, the boxed VHS version, which at the time when I got it was the only restored version, uncut and unedited, that was available. And this was back because it says, well, it was released, the remake, the 93, but I got it like a year later. It must have been like 95. And this was the only version I could get on hand on, except a laser disc. And DVD, of course, wasn't released until later, late 90s, like 99, 2000, I believe. And this I always kept as I actually, when I first saw it back in high school, was back in, I think, 94. I remember I rented it one time, and always stuck with me, this film, so that's when I fell in love with it. But I also remember renting it years earlier in the late 80s, where, I mean, we were too young to go to those local video stores, those small stores, and I actually rented it with a cousin of mine, and I remember the thrill of renting it out and feeling guilty on being rented it to minors. I don't know how he got away with that, and I just remember we actually turned off the film at that time because we couldn't even, like, I mean, at the time I was too young to really understand the film, but it was very powerful. That I mean, at that time I couldn't even bear watching it compared to my how I also enjoy the Friday the 13th. I mean, found this villain a lot more powerful than Jason or Freddy or even Michael Myers for just the way it was portrayed, how it was directed. I mean, the other films, the other villains tend to be more comical and a lot more satire. It was filmed in a way that were kind of like, as the article stated, anti-superhero, where I guess the young kids were actually drawn to these characters, and this one was a lot more realistic in a way that it was kind of tortured to see. It was a lot more. It was directed in a way that was it's believable. I mean, considering it being actually based on a true story, just how a film can basically transfer that onto film is quite remarkable. And this here is just the, I believe, a London poster that was released at the time, and it was just, I guess, reprinted. And I actually bought this in the city one time at some on Times Square. I remember I actually liked this poster, and I actually got it for its really dramatic picture of infamous ending of the film, and how it just states all these big words. It happened. How it has this little caution sticker where it says scenes in the film are too disturbing some members to the public. I mean, it's just I believe it's just a silly, just an interesting poster, but in a way always just a creepy image. Also, what I like about the poster is that it also has, you know, the infamous last scene in the film where you have the villain attacking the character. The character actually survives in the end and has this interesting sunrise in the background of basically a cathartic ending where it pretty much just sums up the entire film after the nightmare, basically saying nightmare is over. Interesting, famous scene there. And also this other thing I purchased a while back was this interesting promotional 8x11, I guess, just poster. I guess it was like a magazine ad or some kind of video promotion, or that was actually in Japan, where it has this interesting graphics of the film. I guess just advertising a restored version, and it has this kind of like comic book style design and interesting Russian constructivism design here. You get all these this interesting type in yellow background. Just an interesting design that I haven't seen for this film. I just thought it was very interesting. But my main feature is on these 16mm film that I have, and I want to share it with other fans of the film. I remember when I first got it, I just knew I just had to have it, so I actually purchased it about 10 years or 15 years ago, and it comes with 2 reels and basically 2 parts of the film. The film comes in 2 reels, and so I'd like to show you the film and just to basically show you guys how it looks on 16mm and be showing you some famous scenes from the movie, and let me know what you guys think. Okay, thank you.
I can't keep up with you.